And welcome to Flightdeck Live, powered by SportBuff. If you go to sportbuffshop.com and use the code ALICE10 at checkout, you will save 10% off your entire order. I'm Tim Capper, along with Cliffy D. Pine from Purcell Molson Stadium, where the Alouettes lose, I'll call it a heartbreaker. They lose a heartbreaker 21-20 to the BC Lions. BC has now won 5 straight overall versus the Alouettes and 3 straight here at Purcell Molson Stadium. But yet, second coming, I guess we could say, of MBT. Second start for the Alouettes as their starter. Slightly different in his game plan, I guess, that they had for this week. And they were almost able to pull it out.
Yeah, actually, at least MBT this time found the end zone, not once, but twice. Throwing beautiful touchdown passes to Tyson Philpott as well as Sean Thomas Erlington, who, by the way, MBT discovered that he had not one, but 2 running backs and was able to hand off the ball a little bit more and get some good runs in. So in a lot of senses, it was not the same McLeod Bethel Thompson who was playing against Hamilton last week, but the result remains the same.
Yes, unfortunately it did. But again, the Alouettes had a little bit more offense this week than they did last week versus Hamilton. But this game, Cliff, really was it's funny, the Lions are here in town. It was a scratch-them-out, claw type of game because low scoring, didn't really come down, again, to the last play by Sean White on that field goal to seal the win. 2, by the way, second time in less than a half of a year that this has happened to the Alouettes here at Purcell Molson Stadium. But it was that type of, do we dare say, a non-CFL game, considering after the scores that we've seen and the points been put up over the last 2 games this week?
Yeah, I was expecting this was going to be another blowout game for either team, to tell you the truth, but this was actually a very tightly contested affair. It was a CFL game in the sense that no lead is safe, and you play until there's zeros on the clock, and that's exactly what it was. I mean, with literally 0.2 of a second left, that's all was needed for Sean White to kick the game-winning field goal.
Yeah, they changed it. They actually and it's funny. This is, I think, it's not really a story for the game tonight, but it's actually adjustments that were done by the replay center tonight. It was actually they put a second back on the clock, like it mattered. But still, again, it was that type of game where, yes, we had transparency. Yes, we had the league step in on certain things, and more than one time when it came to third and short, which ended up being first and 10. But again, that's what I think we've been wanting to happen here as fans in the CFL and as media is transparency and the replay center actually doing something. And they did. We can't, I don't know if we can really fault it. Again, it's kind of a minor story from what happened tonight.
Yeah, I mean, again, if those calls went more in favor of the Alouettes, I mean, it would be a different story. But it still remains the fact that whether you like it or not, at least they were transparent. They were honest about the calls. I'm sure, a lot of people would say, no, it wasn't right or anything like that. But at the end of the day, there's a replay center for a reason. And it's to get these calls right when the officials on the field don't quite have it right. But, would have been nice for the Alouettes if some of these third and shorts ended up being just that, turnovers on down, so that the Alouettes get the ball back. But no, instead it just ended up extending the play, extending the drive for the BC Lions.
As I said, this is MBT's second start for the Alouettes. Again, I mean, it's funny. He kind of had a Cody Fajardo type of game tonight. It really wasn't a dink and dunk type of thing, but just the overall stats. I mean, Nathan Work coming in on his first game just actually was lights out tonight. I mean, you can't fault the guy from what he did.
I mean, you want to talk dink and dunk. I think a lot of his offense was dink and dunk, but you know what? Sometimes it works. I mean, certain quarterbacks are able to pull that off, and tonight Nathan Work did that. It wasn't pretty by any stretch, but I mean, he was able to move the ball downfield, was able to get plays, and despite the numerous penalties that BC had,
oh man,
I mean, discipline was a big thing in this game. And typically, though, if you win the turnover battle, you win if you have less penalties, you're typically going to win the game. But I dare say BC stole this one.
It's funny. I would actually put it that way too. I mean, it's funny. We talk about winning the turnover battle. Didn't the Owls win the turnover battle? I think it's 1-0. That's it.
To 2-0.
2-0. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. You're talking about penalties, by the way. BC, 11 penalties for 146 yards.
Woo.
Most of those really were in the second quarter. Most of them were in the first half. They had well over 100 yards at halftime, and most of those were because of DPIs or penalties within 5 yards of the receiver. So
yeah, that's it. It was just a game where, again, Montreal had to have this game. Everything was set up in place for them to win this game, even though it was ugly football towards the end. That fourth quarter was just really bad football, to tell you the truth.
Yeah, and most people, I don't know if you saw it on TV, and we don't know what it is. There was actually a skirmish here at the locker rooms at the end of the game.
Yeah. Curious to see what that was all about, but, I mean, could just be tempers flaring because of, again, this was such a tightly contested matchup. And, again, it just wasn't meant to be for the Alouettes tonight. It happens. I mean, you can't use the excuse, like BC can't use the excuse of 3 time zones or anything like that. Like, when they showed up, they played the game they had to play. Simply put.
Well, again, they've won 5 straight, 3 here in Montreal. So what does that say? I am hoping that the Alouettes take that to heart and remember that when they head to BC later on this year, that the time zones don't mean a thing.
No. A lot of people will probably say though, like, going west to east is a lot easier than going east to west. It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, everybody has to play the schedule. Everybody has to go to BC and play. Everybody has to come to Montreal and play. It can't be an excuse. At the end of the day, you still have to make the plays. You still have to execute your game plan. And that was something Montreal did for the most part tonight, but didn't do it enough.
No, I will admit, it was a pretty good first quarter. They had almost 100 yards, I think, total. They got the running game going. MBT was going, but again, it was just slow. And then they ran into some issues tonight. I mean, the Owls were up 14-9 at halftime.
And it's funny, like, their first drive was absolutely phenomenal.
Yep.
Their last drive to end the half, absolutely phenomenal. Everything in between was mid at best. And I think I'm being generous in saying that.
Yeah.
It was rudimentary football. It was just playing not to lose. And you're not going to win playing not to lose.
No. And again, they kind of flipped the script. They had points off of turnovers tonight, which is what they needed. Mm-hmm. A great interception in the end zone by KB Nenter to stop another drive for the BC Lions in the first half.
Yep.
So it could have been worse. For the game, let's get to some of these stats here, and we'll talk a little bit more because there were some circumstance I think that probably led to the BC Lions with their 1-point win. But either way, there are multiple issues. Mikhail Bethel-Thompson was 15-23 for 192 yards and 2 touchdowns. Remember what I was saying? Very Cody-ish. I'm sorry, I had to say it. Caleb Evans actually did come in because MBT got
fell wrong.
Yeah, he really did. Came out for 3 plays in the third quarter. Caleb went 1 of 2 for 14 yards. Okay, and that's the thing. Caleb looked good. That's good to see with having the backup like that. I just wish sometimes it would be able to carry over when, in this case, with Davis to MBT. Again, MBT had a better game tonight, but it just, again, wasn't just good. It wasn't good enough. He's now 0-2 as the Alouette starter.
Yeah.
For rushing, Sean Thomas Erlington in his 100th CFL game tonight, 11 attempts, 76 yards. Travis Tice, 7 attempts for 21 yards. Caleb Evans had some, and so did Mikhail Bethel-Thompson. By the way, okay. Speaking of, I think it was it Tice and Mikhail Bethel-Thompson tonight was Superhero Night here at Percival Molson Stadium, and I swear both of these guys are pretending to play Superman.
Absolutely. Or, as I joked about earlier, shades of Nick Lewis doing those incredible hurdles. I mean, we've seen Mikhail Bethel-Thompson do this on a number of occasions, but Travis Tice, who, by the way, we had on the show this past week, if you haven't had a chance to listen to it, by all means, go ahead, click that download and listen to it because it was a great chat. Travis Tice, too. Just a little ball of energy. And he was making tremendous leaps as well.
Yeah, it was fun. I mean, and Travis, and this is, I guess this might be, we were talking about this last year with Fletcher, is that seeing that both STE and Tice out of the backfield, besides running, they seem to be doing pretty good on the pass catches too, because as I said, STE got that touchdown tonight. So
absolutely, and that's what you need from your running backs. Not only pass protection and being able to block, but if you can be basically a check down option if need be for your quarterback, and that's exactly what Travis Tice and Sean Thomas really were tonight. They were great last minute options if need be, like safety fouls, just for MBT to get rid of the ball as quickly as he can. And By the way, that was something else that I found a little troubling was he was holding on to the ball just a little too long. I mean, this is something I've talked about in the past with Trevor Harris when he was quarterback for the Montreal Alouettes. He just held on to the ball too long. And now he doesn't do that anymore. Ever since he was gone to the Saskatchewan Roughriders, he's been able to get the ball out really quick. So why isn't MBT getting the ball out quicker than that? Because, I mean, it would make a big difference because there's a lot of times where he was just stopped. Either he incomplete pass or being sacked or just there was just nothing there. And I think a lot of it was he was holding on to the ball just a little too long.
I mean, and some of the plays I do agree with you and having to get rid of them. I mean, it's not that he was under pressure all night. He did get sacked a couple of times. So, I mean, I'm going to agree with you on that one. I really do. For receiving, leading receiver for the team was Tyson Philpott. Even though I really felt in the second half, I think he only got 2 targets in the second half. Yeah. He led the team with 57 yards and that 1 touchdown on the very first drive of the game. As I said, Sean Thomas Erlington had that 1 other touchdown. Second leading receiver was Cole Speaker, 3 receptions for 54 yards. Obviously, we'll be going into this more in detail on the podcast this week. By the way, Owls are on a bye week. We still do have a show coming up for you guys this week. We have a couple of ideas on what we want to do.
Yep.
Let's talk about the defense here. The defense through 3 games, Cliff, was lights out. The last 2 games, they've been consistent, but they haven't been able to get to the quarterback. And I really think tonight, not being able to get to Nathan Rourke, I really think it is what allowed the BC Lions to stay in the game as long as they did.
And it's funny because I saw a lot of soft zone coverage, and it just... I don't think the Alouettes are the kind of team that can do that. I mean, like, we see what Norththorpe has been able to do with this team the first couple of games, and it's been nothing short of outstanding. But the past couple of games, this team's almost like looking exposed even. And that's a little troubling because against Hamilton, they were on the field way too long.
Yeah.
I feel like this game, they were on the field the right amount of time.
Actually, it was almost dead even.
Are you
between
serious?
time and possession. Yep. Literally like 30 seconds something, and then...
I stand corrected then. But again, I feel like maybe they may have learned a little bit more, but still a lot of the coverage, and just I don't feel like Nathan Rourke nearly pressured nearly as much as he could have been from this defense. And how many times did we see him throw out in the flats and get a first down?
I know.
Unfortunately, that is, as much as we love this Norththorpe defense, that is also too a bit of a trademark for that. Is just throw. If you're a quarterback facing this defense, just throw it in the flats. More often than not, you're going to find a receiver and get a first down.
Yep, total here, time of possession for BC, 30-45. For the Alouettes, 29-15. So...
it is what it is, folks.
Yeah, defensive-wise, the Alouettes did get 2 sacks tonight, Ty Beverett and Mullen. And a couple of plays, as I said, we don't know what was happening. They're pretty consistent on the pass coverage and whatnot. Najee Murray had 10 tackles tonight. Another one of the plays that really stood out, and it looks like Turf Monster got him, was Marc-Antoine Dequoy on that late touchdown by the BC Lions that pulled him ahead.
Yeah. I mean, listen, he's a phenomenal player. There's no question about that. But, I mean, there's been a couple times where, again, just like the rest of this defense, he's been exposed just a little bit. And I just hope it's simply a matter of early season. I don't want to call him jitters necessarily because, I mean, he's a pro's pro. I mean, I don't expect those kind of plays from him, but it could just be one of those things like, okay, better do it now in the months of June, July, versus doing it, say, in October, November.
Yeah, I know, I agree with you. And I think there's another thing, too, that the Owls, I'm sure, will look at once they do get back to practice after the bye, is shoring up the pass defense, because the last 2 weeks they've given up more than 300 yards the past 2 games. Nathan Rourke, 352 yards tonight. And again, it just,
And as I said, a lot of that offense was very basic, but it worked. And give him credit. I mean, he's a hell of a quarterback. I mean, Kid Canada, he did the thing. He did it here last year against the Alouettes, and he did it again this year.
It's true. Jose Maltos had his kicking streak snapped tonight off of a ball off the upright, which I'm sure we could have used those points, especially by what the score was. And then, and I don't know really if it's the turning point. We did speak to a couple players post game, and it was mentioned more than once. Obviously, the big play that a lot of them feel that may have allowed BC to get into the position to win this game for that winning field goal was a 15-yard penalty by Peel Stage.
Yeah, just not the time to be taking a penalty like that. There's never a good time to take a penalty, don't get me wrong, but I mean, you just gave your team and the fans here at Personal Molson Stadium new life, and all you had to do was just keep it together, and simply put, that's just not the kind of penalty you'd be taking at that moment. Again, never a good time to take a penalty, but right there, moving them up 15 yards to kickoff, or moving back 15 yards to kickoff, giving BC excellent position. And despite the fact that this crowd, which, by the way, just over 21,000 here tonight, absolutely electric.
Yeah.
I mean, people here were excited. They were stoked. And they were doing everything they can to will this team to victory just by support, being loud, excited.
And they stayed. That's the thing. I understand it can happen if your team's getting blown out, but most of the 21,000 stayed the entire time.
Absolutely. And so, again, credit to this crowd, credit to Alouettes Nation for showing up, showing out. I mean, Saturday night in the city of Montreal, I mean, there's any number of things you do. By the way, Lionel Messi was playing soccer just down the road, like 8 kilometers away. And the fact that we still had 21,000 plus in this stadium here tonight is nothing short of incredible. So give yourself a hand, Alouettes Nation. I mean, that was absolutely phenomenal. You brought the noise, you brought the fun, you brought the excitement. Unfortunately, the team just couldn't bring you the W.
No. Again, last-second field goal by Sean White gave the BC Lions a 21-20 win. One quick aside, as we mentioned on the podcast, the Alouettes did tonight. As we know about the CFL initiative when it comes to the flags on the jerseys, the Alouettes did tonight, as they had stated to us at practice on Monday, that they did wear them tonight. And also kind of a bit of a surprise, which I kind of liked. They actually added the Quebec flag to the other side also.
Yeah, I love it. I think it's great. I mean, I think it's a great initiative to have the Canadian flag patch on the jerseys, and it's going to be on home, away, alternate, all that. But if the Montreal Alouettes want to up the game a little bit and put a Quebec flag on there as well, I think it's great. And I wouldn't be mad too if other teams decided to follow suit and put their provincial flag on as well. I mean, it can't be just about national pride, but provincial pride.
I think the Flames. I think the Calgary Flames have done it recently on their jerseys. So it's not setting a precedent at all. At all. I mean, it's as I said, it's just promotion for how proud you are, where you're located, where you're from. And again, I think it's kind of a nice surprise.
Absolutely. I think it's a great way to, again, promote unity, not only in Canada, within all 9 teams of the Canadian Football League by having this initiative, but for Montreal to put their own little twist on it as well. And again, I would be thrilled if the other teams followed suit as well. Why not?
Yeah,
have that pride, especially a place like Saskatchewan, for example, which again is a provincial team. Why not put the flag of Saskatchewan on in addition to the Canadian flag? I think it'd be great.
Yep, for sure.
Mean, I hope other teams follow suit. I mean, if not, then Montreal once again does something just a little bit outside the box and stands out as a result.
Yep, exactly. Matches their back of their helmets. Why not?
There you go.
Why not? Again, the Alouettes do lose to the BC Lions 21-20 on a last-second field goal, followed to 3-2. Still first in the Eastern Division, heading on to their first bye week of the year. Their next home game will not be until a week from this coming Thursday. So stay tuned for that. And again, if you haven't come to the game, make sure you head on down to Percival Molson. So, again, if you haven't missed any of the part of this broadcast, you can catch the archive over on X, Facebook, or YouTube. And again, even though they're on a bye week, we will be having a show this week. So stay tuned to all of our socials for any more information that may come across.
Absolutely. And if you're watching us on YouTube, make sure if you haven't already, smash that like button. Make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you're following. Hit the notification bell so that you know when the show goes live. You'll be notified. When a new podcast drops, you'll be notified. So make sure you're following along. And if you're following on X, Facebook, wherever it is on social media you're following us, make sure you're notified as well, so that when we do go live or when a new episode drops, you will be informed.
Exactly. So for the final time here at Personal Stadium, the Owls do lose 21-20 to the BC Lions. So for the last time here, for Cliffy D, I'm Tim Capper. We'll talk to you soon.